So ever since the Switch came out, people have really been asking Nintendo to bring achievements to the console. It would just make too much sense. It's the one thing that other platforms are doing that Nintendo isn't doing. And I know Nintendo goes their own route and does their own things. They don't copy other, companies and what they're doing and other game companies. But still, they, use some of their practices and some of the things that they do. They can't just completely be original with everything. But anyways, achievements is something that people have really wanted for a while now, and we never really did get it. Thankfully, Nintendo did give us some actual missions, so that way we can customize our profile banner and stuff like that, which is really cool. Our character icons and our Switch profile, we can actually make it custom now, which is really cool, and there's so many games that utilize this. I mean, even the 1,000-Year Door, which I'm never changing mine from, so that's really cool. But we still don't have proper achievements, and that's something that fans have been asking for so long. And we just got some information from Kit and Krista, who, if you watched anything Nintendo related in like the last, 15 years, it felt like, you probably seen one of them here or there. They ran the Nintendo Minute, which would come on YouTube, and they would talk about a game for a minute, which is never a minute. But yeah, I watched them growing up, and they have their own YouTube channel now after leaving Nintendo, and they talked about, in a brand new podcast, somebody asked them about achievements, and they actually have information on this. They said that they were actually sitting in on a board meeting, or they were in like some type of giant group meeting with tons of people in the room, and somebody, part of the team, actually did bring up, why don't we do achievements? Xbox is doing this, why don't we do it? And apparently they got scolded, like really, really bad from higher ups in Nintendo, and said, we don't copy other companies, we do our own thing, we don't need achievements. And they also mentioned how it seemed like Nintendo didn't want achievements due to the fact that they didn't want people to feel like they're competing against each other. They didn't want one person to feel better than the other. They wanted everybody to be equal, and that achievements would cause some people to be a lot better than others, or appear to be better than others because of what they have unlocked. And that is just complete and utter bogus. Like, I'm sorry, that was just such a terrible reasoning for not having achievements. And I want to dive into this and why I think that's just straight up terrible anyways. So straight up, the biggest thing that makes this hilarious to me is the fact that Nintendo doesn't want people to feel non-equal with each other. I'm sorry, that is just the dumbest thing ever. Because considering the fact, let's just take Splatoon, for instance, like literally the entire the Splatoon series. You have a pretty intense ranking system. It goes up to S, and now they've even incorporated things like X rank from Splatoon 2, and even here in Splatoon 3, yeah, it goes pretty high, and it goes pretty high in X rank as well. Not to mention Splatfest have specific winners as well. At the end, they give you like a top 100 of the best casual and the best competitive and stuff at the end of each Splatfest. They can even post it online for you to see. And on top of that, there's like specific battles. If you win those battles, your characters get your names in the lobbies and stuff, and you even get like a little segment of your characters dancing on stage and all kind of things like that. So clearly there's things that really make you better than others. You can even unlock and get random lucky drawings to get a golden nameplate for your name. I'm like, there's so many different things in Splatoon that literally is contradicting that statement. I mean, seriously, Splatoon is very competitive, and you can even bring that into things like Smash Brothers with elite battles. I know technically they don't have a roster of who's the best and who's the worst. It's all that elite Smash number, that global Smash power thing. I don't know anything about that. I'm not a big fan of that. Personally, I just wish there was a straight up leaderboard of who's the best and who's the worst, I think that works fine. But that's how Nintendo is. They did it with Mario Odyssey. There's a leaderboard for all the little mini games. They've done it with Mario Kart. You can get some high numbers and see players that are clearly better than you. I don't know why Nintendo acts like, it's a big problem seeing players that have earned specific rewards because they are just good at the game. I mean, that's just normal. I mean, clearly there's going to be players that are better than others. Now, Kit and Krista also talk about how they don't really care, and achievements is just a waste of time when you look back at the days you spent achievement hunting on PlayStation and Xbox. And yeah, I get it to a degree, but at the same time, it really makes you want to get out the most of your video games. And for Nintendo specifically, I feel like this works better for them more than any other company. A lot of Nintendo games are very short. This includes the Mario games, Mario spin-off games, any type of Kirby games, Luigi's Mansion. Generally speaking, Nintendo games are really, really short games. Now, there are obviously longer ones like Xenoblade, Fire Emblem, Zelda, but still, Lots of Nintendo games can be beaten in just a handful of hours, and just take things like Mario Odyssey for instance, or even Mario Kart. After you've collected all your cups in Mario Kart, you're pretty much done unless you're playing with others online or your friends. And with Odyssey, once you've collected all those moons and completed the game, that's it. It's a pretty short game just to get to the end. So I was just sitting here thinking to myself, I honestly think some people would even buy games just to get specific achievements. Some people will actually play games longer as well just to collect everything in the game. Instead of having all these extra 100% requirements in game, you could just have straight up achievements on the console that actually has players go back into games and try to complete them over the years. You don't have to do it all right away, but like maybe every now and then pull a game out and try to get more achievements, and then getting those coveted awards and actually giving the players some unique rewards. That's how you be different than other consoles, by actually rewarding the player with something that they want to collect. Could you imagine if you actually had like a shelf of trophies? Like you had a shelf of trophies for every single game that you 100% completed with all the achievements. That would be really exciting for gamers to fill out that entire shelf. And maybe the entire shelf is full of first-party games, and you can even see certain slots that you're missing. Like, oh, I'm missing a trophy for this Fire Emblem game that came out, Fire Emblem Engage. And you're like, you know what? I've never been into it, but I can see an empty slot there. Maybe I'll try the game out. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. That sounds kind of corny, but there will be some people out there that generally want to fill up that shelf and get them to buy new games. And seriously, I think it's a win-win for us, consumer, and Nintendo. For us, we get to get more out of our games and even flex our trophies and just have like a trophy shelf or maybe other collectibles like stickers or something to really show that we finally 100%ed, like fully 100%ed a game would be really, really cool. And for Nintendo, because it's getting people to be more interested in their games that are coming out. It's getting people to maybe pick up games that they wouldn't pick up before just to make sure they fill out that trophy shelf. And like I said, all the first-party games Nintendo has ever released for the Switch could be icons up on that trophy shelf, and you could be like, shoot, I want to really fill that whole thing out. I mean, generally speaking, this is just a cash gold mine for Nintendo that they're not taking advantage of. They could even go the My Nintendo route and reward like points for playing through the game as much as possible. I know Nintendo probably won't do that because they're stingy and, you know, they're not as loving to us as they were with the whole Club Nintendo days. I really miss those days. They really gave us a lot of stuff. But yeah, My Nintendo isn't as great, but it works, I guess. If they really want to be different, they can do this in a different way. I mean, at the end of the day, they do a lot of things that other companies do, but just in a different way. But I don't know, maybe it's just me, but personally, I do believe that Nintendo should try to do this eventually in the future with their own little spin and take on it. I think it really helped players to get more out of their games, especially games that they can finish very quickly, even with the in-game 100% things. I feel like a lot of the time I'm done with a game a lot earlier than I should be. I want to have reasons to go back or maybe play the game a second time. Maybe there are reasons to go back and replay a game from start to finish, you know, and normally when I get a new game that comes out from Nintendo, I play it one time, collect everything, and I'm done. And I probably don't pick the game up again for a second playthrough in like 2 to 3 years just because there's so many games coming out. Sometimes it's longer than that. Like generally speaking, there are a bunch of 3DS games that came out at the end of the 3DS life cycle in like 2016 and 2017 that I still have not played a second time. I'm just now getting ready to play through Paper Jam again. That's Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. And yeah, it's just like I would have had more incentive to do this if there was maybe even some achievements or something there. But I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of all this. Do you think Nintendo should do achievements with the new Switch successor, or do you think Nintendo should just leave them alone and that it's a thing of the past? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Nintendo. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.